Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well today. For today, I just have a sit down, get ready with me, and yeah, it'll just be kind of like always how I do them. I kind of wanted to talk and just chit chat about a couple things, and yeah, I hope everyone is having a really nice day. Today is Monday, but I'm on spring break. It's the first official day of spring break, and it feels so nice to not be in class and to not wake up and go to school. I didn't think that spring break would be as wonderful and relaxing as it already has seemed to be. I didn't think it was going to be like that big of a deal. I was like, oh, it's just a week, like it's not going to be that big of a difference, but even just not waking up today was like a really big deal, and like it was so nice to just sort of feel like I could relax and not have to worry about like getting around everywhere and going and the whole hassle of it all. So I was really grateful for that. I'm glad that it came at the right time. But we all need a break sometimes, and I just felt like with school, like it was really wearing on me since the semester started. Like for some reason these classes have been kind of tough. Communication I'm not the best at. I think I'm okay at like speaking sometimes, but then when it comes to like using the correct formal language and like actually putting things in like structures for like when you write out a speech, it's like a lot different than like giving the speech kind of. So I kind of struggle with actually writing it out and having like certain like phrases and stuff and like transitions and all that. So my two communications classes can be kind of hard sometimes because it really relies on your ability to do those types of things for sure. And I'm actually going to put the fan on really quick because I'm a little hot. But yeah, so as I was saying, the fan feels so much nicer. As I was saying, I feel like really glad that spring semester finally came when it did, and I'm super grateful for that. But one thing I wanted to talk about today that I feel like I've mentioned before in my videos, and I kind of allude to it in a lot of ways, but you guys know that I'm not the most secure and like confident person with myself when it comes to my face, body, etc. And I feel like in the scheme of the world, it's not a problem in the sense of like in the bigger picture of life, like life goes on and like it doesn't really matter what your appearance is, but it does when you're the person and you live your life and you are in your vessel and you can't switch out your vessel and you have to stay with the one that you have. And you can modify it and do a lot of different things to it, but you can never fully escape it, if that makes sense. And I just really struggle with finding self-love and confidence, and like I tried making a video earlier where I had my hair pulled back and I didn't have any makeup on, and I don't know what it was, but it was not flattering at all. It looked so bad, and I really wanted to make like a video where I was like talking about looking in the mirror and like what I see in my reflection and that type of thing, but I couldn't do it. And it's even funny now, like now because my hair is styled and it's down, it's a lot different than it was before, and like I feel like for some reason I feel like I look thinner now than I did when I first tried to do the video. So now I'm more confident and more comfortable. That wasn't how it was when I had first tried and started to do the video. But if you guys can see, this is my face without any makeup, without anything, and I've always really struggled since I was like a teenager about my appearance and my face and body and everything, and I feel like my nose is too big. I always want it to be like thinned out and pinched, and I love, the reason I do the makeup on this side is because it's kind of like a profile, and from the side I think my nose is fine, but from the front, I feel like this is too big, and I don't know, something about like my forehead. It's like I just feel like my face is very asymmetrical, and like my skin is not. It's not, you know, very nice in person. Like I don't feel like it looks very like healthy and inviting and stuff. So I don't know. Like I just see myself and I'm like I don't. I can't do this. But you know, then you're like, well, you have to. And I mean, I used to fantasize about like getting plastic surgery and like changing everything and all of that, but that's not even what I'm looking for, in the sense that I don't like the idea of like having an old face and a new face. You kind of just want to be beautiful from the very beginning to the very end. Like I don't want to have to start over and like have, you know, pictures and videos of myself where I don't look the same anymore. And I mean, the idea of like surgery is, but then actually having like a different face and all of that, I think that would be like really difficult for me to like deal with and stuff. I don't think I would really enjoy that at all. But I don't know. It's just, and it sounds really silly and it sounds very like skin deep and just like, you know, not a big deal, get over it. But it really does affect the way that I interact with the world and like my life and everything. Like it all really, it carries a big weight to it, to be completely honest. And I try and like pretend and coach myself into being like, you know, pretend you look like Barbie. How would you carry yourself if you looked like that and you loved it? Or how would you carry yourself if you looked like Daryl Hannah and the rest of the world thought that too? Like, just fake it till you make it, you know? The only thing is that I find that I can fake it, and then, like, even today when it was like facing a monster in the mirror, like facing your worst physical feature fears, and I was just horrified. I was like, is this, I just feel like I'm so good at, I know my angles and I know on YouTube like what my comfort zone is, and like I just feel like whenever it's not, I don't know, like whenever it's just such a hard thing. Like I just really, I wish I felt like I look the same that I do in person versus how I look on YouTube. And I don't know, and I just feel like it's such a big pitfall for me, because I feel like no matter what I do, I can never seem to work my way out of this hole of like self, you know, destructive thoughts and like voices, and like, you know, they say like what you tell yourself really matters, and you know, if you've heard negative things and you repeat those things to yourself, or you know, that kind of stuff hurts you, and it can be really detrimental to you. And I feel like I wouldn't talk to another individual like how I have like the mental dialogue with myself. I wouldn't talk to another person that way. But it's weird. It's like you forget as a person, and like you feel like you have like the right, or just not even that you have the right, but like that it feels like it just comes naturally to you as a human being to be like hard on yourself, harder than you would ever be on someone that isn't in your vessel. But I don't know, it's just, I'm sure that it is not fun listening to somebody complain about that, but just that it's a really big struggle of mine. Like if I could step into a new body, I would. And I don't know, it's like I wish in life before we came to Earth we were like able to customize ourselves, like in The Sims, or like, you know, in games where you can like customize the way you look. I feel like I wish that I could have picked out, instead of genetics picking something out for me, I wish that I could have picked it out myself. Because I feel like on a physical level, and even some things that are passed through genetics, like personality traits. Like, I feel like I know myself better than the cocktail of genetics that created me. Like, I'm like, they got it wrong, girl. But yeah. So what's interesting is, it's kind of a weird segue, but I recently saw the movie Us by Jordan Peele, and I absolutely loved it. I thought this movie was amazing. Now, I probably will say spoiler alert, so if you want to see that movie, just skip this part and skip that. But this movie was it was very, just so interesting to me. It wasn't even that it was horrifying, it was just, and some parts actually were really horrifying, that were so original and abstract and like really thought-provoking. And I just really love horror films that have like that ingenious horror where it's not like jump scares all the time, and it's not like boo like it's actual like, oh my god, like this, I'm uncomfortable. This feels like the dread and just it's so terrifying to you. And I definitely felt that in this movie watching it. Sometimes I feel like movies like that aren't a good influence to watch if you struggle with like anxiety and depression and stuff, because I feel like it can set your mood off in kind of a dark way. And because especially if you're an empath, like even if you're just an empathic person, like watching something that's very negative and dark probably isn't going to do you any favors. But I really wanted to see the movie. I knew that a lot of people would be talking about it, and I just knew that Jordan Peele was someone that I didn't really even know how phenomenal of a creator and director he was. I didn't see the movie Get Out, but I definitely wanted to see this one, and I plan on watching Get Out. But I just feel like both of these movies are very heavy. Like, it reminds me of the director of Hereditary, that movie. Like, watching Hereditary, it just felt so awful. Like, the things that happened, and it was just so profoundly uncomfortable to watch. And, but anyways, what I love so much about the movie Us is that it really, it has a lot to do with the duality of the human experience, and that's something that I am always really fascinated with, because I definitely see multi-dimensional aspects of myself and duality in myself. Like, so in the movie Us, basically the premise is that there is, from what I took away from it, people who gave blood samples and donations, or did like for the Red Cross Foundation. Now this is all hypothetical and not even hypothetical. It's just fantasy. But for the movie, what I took away from it is that everybody who had donated blood, or through like vaccines or whatever it was, they got your information and your DNA. And when you were born, they create not one of you but two of you. And there's sort of like the light and the dark reflection of yourself, and not even that one encapsulates the darkness of you, but basically like it's like two of me, but the one version of me that gets to be out and enjoying life or just dealing with like everyday life is one person, but there's another version of you that's held in this like captive, like laboratory kind of state, and you don't get any of the freedoms that the other side of yourself gets. And you have to go through so much pain, and like you're not given any medicine or anything, like all the comforts of life. You like, if yourself in real life finds someone that they love and that they have children, the version of you that's in the laboratory is forced to be paired with someone that they're not in love with or want to be intimate with. And it just was so profoundly interesting. And halfway through the movie, I stopped feeling like the mirror side, the evil side of everyone were evil. I just felt really bad for them, and I felt like I could understand where they were coming from. Like, these are people that never got the opportunity to experience life and the beauty and wonders of life, or the pleasures, or just anything, like the freedom of life. And so, I mean, it would be torture to have to live and like be subjected to that every day. So then once you do finally get the opportunity to come out of captivity and out of being in that kind of state, I knew that the reason they had to kill each other and like try and kill their other self is because I don't think the world would have allowed them to come out of the laboratory and be like integrated into society. I feel like people would just execute all of them, and they wouldn't want them to be a part of society if they knew. So I think the people who were the us characters, like the other side who live in the laboratories and stuff, I felt like they didn't have any other option but to kill their, mirror image of themselves, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to live in the world. And from somebody who's experienced like, bullying or trauma and different things, like that anger inside of you of like being on the outside looking in, or like being jealous of people who seemingly have things that, you wish that you had, or a life that maybe you wish you had, and just sort of the unfairness and cruelty that life can have. I really loved and understood the characters' narratives, where they were coming from and why they were so like viciously angry. And especially Lupita Nyong'o's character, she just did such an amazing job for the movie. I was just so impressed, with it, and I got chills. Like it was really great. And so I just feel like I could identify with the people that were angry, and like the people that were kept in the laboratory, and like, not everybody gets to experience life the way that other people do. Like we all have a different reality and a different life that we're living, a different view of reality. And that's kind of, it scares me, and I feel like, I don't know, like life is really subjective, and it can be unfair, and like, I don't know, so all of that was just super interesting to see played out in a movie, because I had never seen that before. I saw tastes of it with like Black Swan, where they're with Natalie Portman, where she had like the duality of like herself, and that type of thing. So I'm very interested in like psychological, human brain, human self-analyzation, that type of thing. I really recommend the movie. I think it's great, and I think that if you're somebody who has felt like alienated or ostracized or different, you can almost relate to the characters, and I just felt really bad. Like I felt so bad for them. And yeah, it was so good. And like, the scene of like, there's this like funhouse carnival thing, and it's like this Native American like find yourself like maze, and like sort of like a house of illusions, and like the little girl that's in there, Lupita Nyong'o's character when she's younger, just, oh my god, it was just so eerie and like really creepy, and I loved that. I thought it was just so good. But I just think that there's a lot of like, I love movies that pick up on like the duality of human nature, and sort of like, human suffering even, and like it's a very I think it's a very interesting narrative. But yeah, I loved the soundtrack that they had. There was this song that was like it was like this tribal song, and it sounded just really eerie, and I thought that the way that he utilized that song and the sound was like really brilliant. I really loved that. And it also, funny enough, it kind of supported my idea of wanting to be a vegetarian. I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan currently, but I completely support and agree with people. I know that's a weird, like, kind of, what is it called, segue, but just in that, the movie, there were bunnies in the laboratory as well, and I think that what they started to do, whatever organization or company that made the human clone versions, I think they started with the bunnies, and that's why the bunnies are in the cages, and that's why you see them and all of that. And I just felt like seeing the bunnies, and when you look into an animal's eyes, you can really see that they're alive and that they have thoughts, and they're like there's an eerie level of consciousness that I think that in our Western society we disassociate from animals, especially ones that we eat. And it's almost kind of like the only reason I would choose to eat meat is because I'm not aware of the killing of the animal and I don't have to kill it or be aware of it. I just get to enjoy the fantasy of this tastes good and sort of disassociating from the fact that something had to literally die in order for you to have this. And it just made me think about like the meat industry and how horrible it is, and like I just don't think that we should kill animals for food. And I know that that's a really controversial and subjective topic. Some people feel like it's their birthright to eat meat, and that animals were put here for humans to eat, and that like God's vision or whatever. But I don't. I wouldn't say that's God's vision, and I don't agree with that argument. I don't think that anyone has the right. I mean, unless you're truly in a survival situation, like when we were hunting and gathering and like needed for survival to eat protein, then I think I understand, but not in today's world. I think this sounds really crazy and it would be really hard, but I think the President of the United States should make like a mandatory law of like not producing any more meat. Not killing any more animals, and I think if we can go to Mars, we can make some good tasting tofu, and we could add the smell and like the taste of like chicken and meat, but not have to eat actual meat. I don't think that like McDonald's should sell any more products that contain animal. I think we could make substitutes for everything, and for some reason, the movie Us it really sparked that analysis of like humanity and what it means to be alive, and all of that. So, and sort of like the privilege that some people live different lives that other people wish they could live, and I don't know, it just was so highly analytical, and it really made me feel hyper aware of anything that's like alive and what its experience is. And I just felt really like guilty and bad. Like I felt horrible for eating animals and being a part of a society that eats them. And I mean, it doesn't feel good, honestly. It feels kind of like feels wrong. Like if I always think like imagine if it was us. Like no pun intended, but imagine if it was us and that was our lives, and we were just killed instantly and bred, and our whole lives revolved around just being a meal, and lots of meat doesn't even get eaten and gets thrown away, and like just the whole thing. And I mean, I think even the way our like wheel of life, because we're not asked to be born, we just kind of are, and so in a way I feel like as humans we do suffer as well in the way that the world works, like with money and having to have a job and a career and a mortgage and a car payment and the whole thing. It's all this big grinding wheel that just like crushes you. But I think for animals they have it even worse since they can't really speak up for themselves. But that was just something interesting that the movie kind of impacted me. Like there's no indication of like eating meat is bad in the movie. That's just kind of what I took from it, from like an ethical perspective. Yeah, so very interesting. But yeah, I know that me saying like the president should mandate a necessary law, I just think that the only way people are going to change, and if we would ever stop eating animals, is for it to be forced. Like, and the only way that you could eat meat, or even not even that, I was going to say the only way you could eat meat is if you hunted it yourself. But I don't think we need to be hunting animals anymore. They say the thing of like overpopulation or like helping control like the population of animals, but like I don't know if that's necessarily like I don't know the statistics or really the data on how out of control it would be if we didn't have any type of like game hunting and stuff. I doubt that it would be this huge number. Because that's a lot of people's, they say like it helps with keeping the population down. It's like wildlife conservation or supporting wildlife conservations and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, it just doesn't like, yeah, we had to, this is taking a whole different direction than I thought it was going to take. And people don't like listening to other people's spiels. I don't always like listening to everyone's like opinions on stuff, so I probably won't rant about it anymore. But, and even me wearing makeup is being very hypocritical because, I mean, the cosmetic industry is just as bad as big game hunters, if not worse. If you don't get your makeup from something like that is animal cruelty free, the things they do to animals and test out on animals is like your worst nightmares come true. And I wear makeup from companies that do animal testing. Not that I support it, I don't at all. But technically, I'm supporting it because I give my money and I want the product. If I could choose another alternative, I would, but it's not made easily and readily available. And typically, it's more expensive to find ethically sourced products, which is just so sad and such a shame. And it just feels like, I just feel like, yeah, like I just am very self-aware, and I'm like, I can't really talk about being like, oh, big game hunters are so terrible, but I'm over here using, not hard candy. Hard candy is cruelty-free. They have the little bunny that says cruelty-free. But, like, I think it was L'Oreal or, one of those big companies. I remember that MAC wasn't cruelty-free for a while. I don't know if they are now. I think I saw something that they are cruelty-free, but I could be wrong. There's so many things that are unethical in our lives and that we're not aware of and that we kind of disassociate from. And like when I think of makeup, I don't think about testing on animals at all. Like that's completely away from my mind. But it's a reality and it's real, and I really care, and I really would like. I gotta make a mission and a statement and follow, and not just be like, I really want this, but like actually do it and practice it. It's just that when it comes to the real world, actions aren't always as easy as they are spoken, and I know that's like, duh, like action, it's easier, actions speak louder than words, and like that whole saying, but I really do feel like putting into practice in real life, like, I feel like sometimes ethics go out the window in real life, and like sometimes it's eat or be eaten, and you either go with the system or get like thrown out of the bus and run over by 50 other buses. Like, I don't know, and that just really scares me, and like, like, I don't know, and like, I see homeless people, and like, it makes me so sad, and like, I'll go, because I walk everywhere, so I really see like person-to-person perspective of like what's going on in my area and everything. And like, I'll go to 7-Eleven, and then I'll see someone that's like passed out, the fire department's coming, like they're completely knocked out, they have just the clothes on their body and that's it. And I see people just in the depths of like human depravity and like not okay. And then right next to me I see like a father with his daughter, and they have like a bag full of treats and stuff, and they're laughing, having a great time, and I'm like, something about this picture is just so wrong, and like the fact that, I don't know, I just feel like there's such a equality, like, I don't know, I don't feel like there is, like, I'm like, where are the ethics, where is the, 7-Eleven could start a program where they could feed the homeless people, and then people are like, well, then everyone would take advantage of it, and it all turns into this whole thing, and it's like, it truly makes me uncomfortable that other people are living much higher quality of lives than other people, but we're both on the earth at the same time. And it just, all that kind of stuff is like really like sticky and gross, and like it. And even for myself, I feel really guilty like when I go to 7-Eleven and I get a Diet Coke, and then there's a woman outside who's like really thirsty and needs a drink, and she's like, can you spare any change? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't, like I don't have the money either, but like I had enough to get it for myself. And it's just like this whole like survival of the fittest and this whole thing. And like I just, oh my god, I just don't like that aspect of life. I hate that aspect of life, that it's like survival of the fittest, and you know, it's just dog eat dog world out there. And we look out for our loved ones and they come first, and we disassociate what happens to other people because we don't know them. And it's just like, oh, I can't, you know, you really feel like a heaviness on you when you look at the world that way. Yeah. I just have to, you know, do what you can with what you have is the most important thing. Do what you can with what you have. And if you can, be grateful, take a break, take a step back. Don't push yourself too hard. Spring break was really needed for me. I still have homework and I have an essay to write for my environmental science class, but I really needed just a pause and to not have to do the rat race, you know? It feels like a wonderful thing to not be in the rat race today. So yeah, I think I'm pretty much done with my makeup now. I love this Diamond Glow lip gloss. I think I'm gonna put some of that on. It's super glittery. It's like, especially if you pack it on, and oh my gosh, it smells and tastes just like, or not taste, but it smells like pink strawberry Starburst. But yeah, so that is my look for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you with all my heart. I truly do. And the friendships and connection I've made, I know I always give that little speech, like, means so much to me, but it truly does, and that it brings so much warmth and happiness to my heart. I've been discovering some new great channels, like German Doll Lover, who I found out from Christina from Coffee Breaks and Crafts, and this other girl, I forget what her name, it was called like Digital Doll or something like that, but she's a doll collector, and like I've been watching her videos, and it just, it's so great to like see people out there that are like the same birds of a feather fly together kind of thing, and like it just really makes you feel so good to watch their videos. So thank you guys so much for being awesome and amazing and creative, wonderful people, and putting out your videos. I am a lover of all of your videos, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Okay, I love you. Mwah.